Okay, so continuing the story, Steph asked a lot of things about ChatGPT or to ChatGPT, and it's been pretty amazing. Our AC went out. One AC unit went out in the bus. There's two units, and I was about to climb up on the roof. And I mean, I'm not a mechanic, but I'm going to go look at the compressor and I don't know, take the cover off, see what I can see. Steph asked ChatGPT, "Why did our rooftop AC stop working?" And it said the most likely thing is the 12-volt connection, like the low voltage connection to the control unit. So I stayed inside, pulled that off, and the wire cap had melted. And I took it off, cleaned off the connections, screwed it back together. AC's working.
It was right?
It was totally right. And like, I don't know, that I think that's pretty trippy. Okay, but for those of you who we started recording in the middle of that story, Steph asked ChatGPT, what's a good name for a small bird that we rescued? Tiny little sparrow. And the top two were actually really good, and I almost took the other one. I can't even remember what it is now, though, but the second one was Bean, and the book I'm reading right now, the main character's name is Bean. So weird. I thought, well, that's interesting coincidence, and so here we are. So let me see if I can get her. I put up this sheet when we record so that I have a little studio here. And actually, she likes to sit right behind me. There's a set of shelving that I have covered up right now. So for those of you tuning in, that's my new friend, Bean. Yep, now she's good. Okay, so this little enclosure suddenly probably confused her. Anyway, here we are.
Well, wait, what is the book that you're reading? Tracy and I are interested.
Oh, it's did you guys ever hear about the movie or book series called Ender's Game?
Yeah, you're reading Ender's Shadow?
Ender's Shadow, yeah. So who recommended this to me? Gosh, that's bad. I should look it up. But somebody just recommended it to me and said, "Oh, it's really good, kind of a parallel with Ender's Game." And did you read all 4 Ender's Game books?
No, I've only read those 2.
Oh, okay. The first Ender's Game was good. They made a movie out of it, and then the next 3 in that series are like this really interesting philosophical look at like, what does it mean to have intelligence? What does it mean to interact with something else that's intelligence? And they're never going to make movies out of them. The first one lost money, and the next ones aren't going to make any more. But this is I'm super stoked somebody recommended this to me.
Yeah, I liked Ender's Shadow better than Ender's Game.
Oh yeah, Chris, did you try them?
I've seen the movie Ender's Game, but I haven't read any of the books.
Okay.
I liked the movie. It was good.
Yeah, and let's introduce Tracy instead of just sitting here talking. Show. Yeah. So this is Tracy Holman, who's joining us this week. And who did an intro that time, Chris? I think it's your turn to do the exit anyway. So I'm avoiding responsibility there. But Tracy, tell us about yourself. Who are you?
My name is Tracy Holman. As in the skydiving world, I am the event manager at Skydive Chicago. So we do 90 plus events in the 4 or 5 months that we're open. And that's kind of my main role. So that's included everything from, canopy courses on weekends to Summerfest to Cloud Games, which is a remote competition with over 200 competitors around the world, to the World Championships last year and Nationals. So a little bit of everything. But my background is I have like 2 undergraduate degrees. One's in kinesiology, which is like sports medicine, and one's in communication. And then I have a master's degree in parks, recreation, and sport management. So a lot of people are kind of like, oh, like, when are you going to get out of skydiving? And I'm like, well, this is actually what I did professionally. I just used to do it for universities, and now I do it for Skydive Chicago. So
awesome. And you're a jumper?
Yep, I'm a jumper. I have a little over 1,700 skydives. So I prefer like static free flying or VFS, those sort of jumps. But I also recently got into flocking the last 2 years. I feel like it has been super beneficial. Like, I'm not on a cross brace canopy or anything, but I feel like I've learned more in the past 2 years about canopy flying in general and like all the tools that are available just doing 3 flocking courses than I did in my previous 10 years of skydiving. So I really enjoy them. They're fun. I've learned so much from them. So those are probably like my two favorite kind of skydives. But I like going on. I was on a 4-way FS team at some point in time, and I can pretend to move.
Pretend.
And you've done big wave camps with me and Steph.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I like big waves. I like the medium-ish ways, right? Like once they get super big and you're kind of repeating the same skydive, that's not my favorite thing. But like when the opportunity for success is high, then they're fun, right?
And I'm sorry that my events run together. Did you go to Project 19? Were you on those
I
jumps?
was on the bench.
On the bench.
So
Okay.
yeah, so I wasn't able to attend like pretty much any of the lead up camps. Well, I did attend one, and it was like very very beginning announcement, like 4 years before it actually happened, and it was like my first big wave camp. I had just learned to fly head down, and it was like 10 ways at DeLand with Sharon, and I was like, hey, what kind of chance do I have to get on this? And she was like, uh pretty much nothing unless you could do a significant amount of training between now and then. So it wasn't something that I was like super prioritizing, right, pursuing. It was very helpful that it did for me flying wise, that it did get delayed because of COVID, because then I was like, I had the skill set to be close for it. So I was jumping with you on the bench most of the time, and I think I did pretty well. But again, because the lead organizers like didn't really have any experience jumping with me, they never put me in. So
Yeah.
Hey, can we talk about the flocking for a minute since you brought that up? Because that's um, who my mind just went blank. JRuss, who are the two guys that we had on like a year ago? One with red hair and
Yeah. Tom.
yeah.
Why am I spacing? I'm thinking about
Shoot, I
Tom
put you on the
DiNardo,
spot.
but it's not
Well,
Tom DiNardo. It's
while you're
Mike Brewer and Tom Baker.
there, you go. You got
Yeah.
it. Thank you. Like to me, when I think about like crew or CRW,
mhm.
I don't know. For some reason, that seems scary to me. That is not appealing at all. But when people talk about flocking, and I see those videos, that that looks really fun. And I haven't got to do any at all, like zero.
Oh,
We lost Tracy.
I lost Tracy.
Well, she'll be
Well,
back in a second.
yeah.
There she is. There
Yeah.
she is.
Cool. Cool.
So I think, I mean, so in my mind, they're two different things. Would y'all agree?
Yeah, they are very different.
Okay. And so talk just a little bit, Tracy, about the flocking that you've done, because I think more people are getting interested in it and getting, but I still think the amount of people who've actually been exposed to it, who've actually had a chance to do it, it seems to me, my sense is that it's very, very small.
Yeah, for sure. So I did do I've done like 8 crew jumps, and that was a few years ago at Spring Fling, which was also super awesome, but it's entirely different equipment. Uh yeah, so it did introduce me to like what my rears and my fronts and stuff, would do on a more drastic level, and like not being afraid to yank on them, right, and pull them for crew. uh so that was a fun experience, but I didn't want to have to get a whole other set of gear. Like there's nobody that does crew here at Skydive Chicago. A lot of crew dogs don't jump AADs, which doesn't really make sense to Skydive Chicago and our policies, and me as a fun jumper. um so yeah, when I had the opportunity, I saw all the cool videos that everybody else did, right, that like Momentum and other guys are doing with the flocking. And then when I had, I think it was Matt Leonard, right, did a talk at PIA, not this year, but in 2022. And so I went to that, saw that he was talking about flocking, and I was like, hey, can you come to Skydive Chicago? And in particular, offered like so most of the stuff you see and most flocking courses, and the people who are interested in attending flocking courses, are all the guys on the small, usually guys on the small cross brace canopies, right? And I think that there's a lot of value that me on my 1.3 wing loading, right, like got just being on a crossfire, like, and I keep making sure, at least at Skydive Chicago, that we're offering that float. They call it a float group instead of, so flow is like the higher level, smaller canopies, and then float is what they at least Momentum refers to as So like it's usually like 1.3 to 1.8 wing loading. Um, and they work with us too, which is super great because the skills are the same, right? Learning your canopy is still so important. Having like 20 more tools that you can use at any point in time on your canopy flight, like even if you're doing free fall stuff and you're in your pattern and somebody gets too close to you, one, it increases your canopy awareness of both yourself and everyone around you, but by a significant margin. And it's not just like, oh no, there's someone close to me, panic. It's like, the tools that you have to create separation with that person or to make sure that like you're not going to get in their way when you do your turn or whatever the case may be. So I think it's really, really important to offer for the people not ready for cross brace canopies. But unfortunately, it's hard to get those people to sign up sometimes, right? Like we offered it at Skydive Chicago, and again, the flow group fills up because they're doing all the cool stuff. And I mean, the float group, we're doing the same stuff. It's just at eight. It's like they tell us every time, so I should know the answer to this, but it's like 3 miles per hour slower, right? Like it's not. There's not a significant difference. I mean, there's a difference, but there's not like it's not a crazy difference between a 1.8 not cross brace canopy, right, and like a 2.2 cross brace.
Right.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I think I would highly recommend anybody do them, but I think not a lot of people are into them because most of the offerings are for those higher level canopies. So the barrier to entry is relatively high for most courses. Yeah, and then I think people just are wary or don't feel like they're going to do cool stuff, or I'm not sure why kind of the lower level people are not playing.
I would almost bet it was intimidation to the event. Like people who, I don't know. I mean, I didn't see how it was marketed or how it was discussed, but I probably like thinking about the ads that I've seen for Momentum's like courses, that like opposing patterns
For
and
sure.
like as cool as I think that would be, might be scary for people
Yeah.
who are newer.
Yeah, I think too, also like, depending upon how deep someone's getting down the rabbit hole, like I didn't think I liked Canopy for a long time, and these courses are relatively expensive compared to getting a free LO, right? So, um, so I think people have to already have in their mindset that they're a Canopy person to pay for that
Mm,
course,
yeah.
as opposed to them thinking about it as like their B license Canopy, like they don't think of it as like a critical skill that they want to or need to like get into. Um, so I think that might have to do with it too. But everybody who then goes is like, wow, that was awesome. I want to do that again, right? But people don't think that they want to go.
Yeah. I always find it interesting that people are sometimes, I mean, not maybe that's a different thing with Momentum, but a lot of times it's tough to get people to take canopy courses.
For
It
sure.
seems like a burden,
Right.
but
And that's
you're
the
gonna
thing.
you
It's like people don't think if they're like, oh, I'm not going to swoop, so I don't need any more information.
yes, yeah, right.
Yeah.
And it's the thing that brings you back to the ground safely on every single jump, and they have no problem spending money on free fall skills, but getting a canopy course seems like,
And like I said, I was like that too because canopy courses for me meant one, I had to do hop and pops, which I'm like, I'm skipping my favorite part of the skydive. Like, I don't want to do hop and pops, right? Um, and two, it's like the skydive was like shorter. I was working on things in the air, but like I was doing what the instructor was telling me to, but I didn't necessarily like feel or see what that actually did to my canopy. And then like, a lot of times they get weathered out, or then you like, maybe get landing, like filming of you landing, and it's like, oh, you flare a little bit high or you flare a little bit low. And it's like, okay, cool. And then I'd have to like go again for like that 3 seconds of feedback sort of situation. Um,
not a Momentum.
no,
That's
no,
some
no.
other
I'm
canopy
talking about a
course.
regular, like a regular.
Yeah,
I
okay.
didn't sign up for like more canopy courses, right? Like even as an experienced jumper for 10 years before I started doing Momentum, like I took like one, my B license course, and then I think I took one alter ego course, maybe. I did 3 canopy courses over the course of 10 years, right? Because I didn't need to or didn't think I needed to. It wasn't stuff I wanted to get into. I'm not swooping. I don't care about downsizing. Like, and then I got bullied into doing the crew, which is what they do best. And it was super fun and I loved it. So then when the flocking stuff came up, I was like, oh, wow, like, let me try it. This would be great. And like jump one, because you're doing those canopy drills that you do in canopy courses, but you're like doing them next to somebody so you can actually see, you get immediate feedback and reference of like what is happening with your canopy, right? Like you can tell when you're getting slower, you can tell when you're getting faster, you can tell when you go up, you can tell when you go down. I mean, we're always going down, but you know what I mean, relative to the other person. That when I'm at 4,000 feet all by myself, I can do those things, but I don't necessarily feel that when I pull on my rears, like I glide flatter, right? Like,
Yeah.
That's the same thing we say about the tunnel, like everything she just said, like that instant feedback.
yeah.
And
Yep.
so maybe that's helpful. I mean, it's helpful right now, actually, for me to think about and realize, like, oh, yeah, that totally makes sense when I put it, or when you put it in those terms, and I compare it to the tunnel. Like, yeah, why would I not want that?
Right. Like the tunnel, you have a wall, or you have a coach, or you have someone like you have some reference point right next to you, right? If you go
Yeah.
and do a solo head down, you have no idea if you're tracking across the sky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tell people, I'm like, in the tunnel, you move a quarter of an inch, you can tell
Yeah.
in the tunnel, a
Yep.
quarter of an inch
Yep.
or less. I mean, instantly. And so, yeah, that's cool. That's interesting with the flocking canopy.
So Trace, let's talk about events at Skydive Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, how did you get that job? Like what got you into it?
Yeah. So as I kind of mentioned, like my professional experience was in event management before I worked at Skydive Chicago. I worked at Gonzaga University at some point. I worked at Duke University right before. And I was like their summer camp director and special event manager, right? So I did like their 4th of July party or their Christmas party or whatever for like their faculty club, which is the recreation center for faculty and staff. I left that job because of a terrible boss. I went to HR, and of course their job is to protect the company, so they did nothing. I went to the board of directors, and they were like, "Oh, that's interesting," and we're obviously not going to do anything. So I left with no backup plan. But I had some money saved, and I got a part-time job at like a gym nearby. And then I saw Rook because I had met him, and I was actually at Skydive Chicago in 2016 for Summerfest. And then I love Skydive Chicago so much, and the USPA was asking for like an artistic team lead for Worlds, because that was when Mondial was here. And they kept asking for volunteers, like several newsletters in a row. And finally I was like, well, I'm available. So I messaged them and I was like, hey, I'm free. And they're like, oh, we're looking for someone with more experience. And then like 24 hours later, they're like, just kidding, you're hired because you're the only one who wants to do it. So I had met Rook sometime in one of those events in 2016. So I was friends with him on Facebook. And then early, like January or February 2020, he posted, I think just on Facebook, like, hey, I'm looking for an event manager. So I didn't have a job. I reached out. And he ended up going through the interview process. It was between me and one other person. And and then he told me I got the job. I messaged one of my girlfriends, it was like skydiving girlfriends, and I was like, hey, I just got this job. I'm super excited. And she's like, oh my gosh, I was the other person. So we had no idea that we were both like applying for it or in the candidate pool for it. But yeah, just based on, I think, I mean, you'd have to talk to Rick, but I think just based on experience and stuff like that, I got the position. And then like 2 weeks later, the world shut down for COVID. So I got a call of, hey, we don't really need an event manager right now because there are no events. So kind of just sat in North Carolina and twiddled my thumbs for 4 months. And then in June, when stuff, at least outdoor activities, slowly started opening again, he called me up and he's like, okay, I think you can come now. And then I showed up, and the first day I worked / first week I worked, we re-asphalted, we resurfaced the runway. So that was my first week of work. He has said that he's going to make everybody do that their first week of work now, so we can just see if they're dedicated or not. Because it was, 90-degree heat, black topping a runway. But it was fun. And then that year was kind of like a really nice, actually, for me, easing into the job because I still couldn't really organize big events. And but it was like it was a way for me to see how Skydive Chicago runs and like who to go to for what and like what we physically already have on site and things like that. So it actually worked out really well for me as like a warm up training year just for like overall operations for Skydive Chicago.
Was there a Summerfest that year?
No, we had originally planned because it kept kind of regulations kept going back and forth, and it was like you could do stuff with like under 200 people, right, or you could not do stuff with it. So we had kind of planned to do a Summerfest with like 2 weekends. So it was going to be like a weekend capped at 200 people and then like do the next weekend capped at 200 people. But then regulations changed again and everything closed, and we just sent everybody like a note that said we're sorry with a sticker. So yeah, not that first year, but then what did happen that first year was the start of what is now Cloud Games, because Nationals was canceled, but it wasn't canceled until like September. So it was after a lot of teams had been training, teams had been planning on going, like they're super pumped. And then like 2 weeks beforehand or something, it was canceled. And we were like, well, that kind of sucks. And we're used to moving a lot of stuff online now at this point, right? We got really good at doing that really fast. So we're like, we think we can still do nationals. So we called up Ian, the IT guy, and we're like, hey, can you put together a video upload system that'll work remotely? And that's when we ran. It was called Skydiving Nationals 2.0 the first year, but that's when we ran what was Cloud Games the first year. So that was my first event, and it was like, I think we had over 300 participants, and none of them were at Skydive Chicago. So yeah, so that was interesting.
Nice. Cool. The asphalt aside,
Yeah.
do you feel like I wonder, like the woman that was in that role before you, I can't remember her reasons for leaving. I don't know if it was being overworked, but I always wonder if your role remains consistent or just more gets piled on your plate as you do a good job.
Yeah, this being my 5th year, I definitely feel like I have more than I probably did year one. Well, obviously year one, but okay, fast forward year two, the real first year one. But I think that year was just Summerfest in terms of big events, right? Like there's all the little small events and stuff. So yeah, but I think in general, like what Skydive Chicago and like Rook does well is he gives you a lot of leeway, right, to take to whether you want do you want to keep expanding or growing. Like you can, if you want to, you can work yourself to death, right? Like there has to be some intentionality behind this is my day off, right? And he's like, okay, cool. But if you don't say this is my day off, right, then he'll still give you stuff to do, or like you'll still have stuff to do. So I think yeah, AJ was the event manager before me for 2 years. I think in general this position has had kind of like a 2-year
Yeah.
lifespan typically. But yeah, and for me, year one, it was a lot. It was hard for me because I actually wasn't given like enough direction compared to coming from a university setting where they tell me exactly how to do everything. And Rook was like, "Here's your office," and I was like,
Good luck.
"Okay." So it is really open ended in terms of like I'm the one who puts the 90 events on the calendar, right? Like if that was too much for me, then I should put 70 events on the calendar instead of 90 events on the calendar. So it's not really going to be anybody's fault except for me.
Chris, how you doing? You got questions?
Well, I want you to go over that list again of all the things that you do for Summerfest.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
mean, just
But but let's intro that properly, because it's only the last 2 years that we've had a 600 person cap, right? So 3 years ago, so if Tracy's been there 5 years and the first year didn't happen, so 4 years ago and 3 years ago, Summerfest was insane. I want to say 1,200 people, 700 people. Oh,
She froze.
I think Tracy froze.
You
It looks like
overwhelmed
she's going to say no, but I'm pretty sure it was more than 1,000. Oh, we got another Tracy.
We got a
Yeah.
double.
Do I have two? Is there two of me?
You've got on my screen. You're a frozen image of a grimace saying no. That wasn't 1,200 people.
Yeah, I can only see one of me. But correct. Yeah, there were not 1,200 people, but there was a cap definitely for a reason. I think we were around 700.
Yeah. So the first couple Summerfests that actually went for you were really big.
Yeah.
Really busy.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of dovetailing Chris's question, what's that like?
Yeah.
How was it stepping into your first Summerfest?
Yeah. Actually, it was like everyone was like, "Oh, you're really calm," and before that, working at Duke, I had 300 kids for 10 weeks in a row. So I was like, oh, I have 600 adults for 9 days, right? Like, so, and it was like I had one evening activity to plan and engage and like make sure everybody was good to go for that. But and 70 camp counselors, which are the LOs, but but only having one evening activity to plan, like there's a lot that goes on that during that event for sure. I don't want to like downplay that, but it was very much like within my wheelhouse. So I had a lot of fun, right? Like I was busy, but it was fun. My goal was to jump that first one. My goal was to jump every single day, like do at least one jump. And I think there were,
Did you do it?
I think there were 2 days that I didn't, but it's because like weather rolled in the afternoon when I had
that's impressive.
So yeah. So so I try to again make time for myself at least a little bit. But yeah, it was fun time. And then but yeah, and to Chris's question, like I think sometimes a lot of people see my role and they think like I post events on Facebook, right? And that's kind of like my role. but for an event like Summerfest, right, it does include all the communication. You guys are very helpful, JRuss being a lead for the movement and free fly LOs, but like communicating with all 70 load organizers, making sure they have rides to and from the airport, making sure that they have housing, making sure that they get fed breakfast and lunch and that they get snacks during the day and that they have water during the day. It's making sure that all the evening activities that I have MCs, I have all the stuff that we need. If we need to build anything, we need to build that ahead of time. It's ordering t-shirts for 700 people and ordering t-shirts also for all of the staff, making sure that there's someone to do laundry for the t-shirts every single night. Like
that someone is usually you, right?
So, no, I usually try to get the last 2 years. Actually been Jen Halverson has been doing it. So yeah, so I usually, so if anybody out there wants a lift ticket for doing laundry every night, we have the laundry facilities, but it's helpful for somebody else to do that task when I can. But yeah, coordinating with Liz for any of the costume stuff and coordinating with all the vendors and inviting them, making sure that they have what they need, making sure that they're placed in vendor row in whatever order they want to be. So that way they're next to so-and-so and they're not next to so-and-so. And
making sure they have power if they need power,
making
right?
sure they have power if they need power, right? Making sure the power goes out.
Yeah, we lost power. Yeah. Was that last year or 2 years ago?
Both years. We lost power.
Yeah.
Both. Yeah.
But like the whole area lost power.
I think we're now.
Are you also coordinating?
We're ready. Yeah.
Coordinating trailer spots and people bringing their own RVs and stuff like that?
Yeah, that's a little bit more manifest. And Anthony, like they kind of handle the campground, and we do usually have like Steve Rossetti or a couple of volunteers that like drive around on golf carts that like help people find their slot or things like that. But yeah, making sure
activities for weather holds.
Yeah, entertaining people. It's usually actually I have more stuff to do when there's weather compared to like when there's jumping. But getting all the headshots from all the LOs, making sure that like I have all of them so that way I can create the template and print them all up and put them all up on the board. And then all the manifest needs to know who the LOs are every day, so that way they can change, in Burble, like what their lift ticket shows up as. Yeah, so it's a list.
And
Is
there's tons
there-
of things you forgot.
Yeah,
Just
Yeah.
now.
I'm sure. I literally have a list. That's why I like.
Is there an event that you think back on as you're really stoked on this more than other things, like, I don't know, the world meeting that happened in North Carolina, or
Yeah.
some of the
Yeah, so last year we kind of had the marathon of nationals, and then the day that ended, we started the Hall of Fame celebration, and the day that ended was Rookie Fest, and the day that ended, we threw everything in the plane and flew to North Carolina for the world meet. Yeah, the world championships. So I think overall, like completing all those events successfully, and like I think the participant feedback was overall really positive for those. Other than Rookie Fest, but that's because we entirely got weathered out, but that's not our fault. So I am proud that we were able to do that. Doing the World Championships in general is not as much fun. Same with nationals. Like I do really like my job in terms of that I can be creative. If there's an idea that I have, I can usually do it. Whereas when it's an event like nationals or an event like worlds, there are other governing bodies at play, so there's less flexibility to kind of run things in a way that makes sense to us. Yeah, we can't always do things the most efficient or fun or creative way because we have to follow the box, right?
Yeah.
I have a
Okay.
question. Is that cool? You got another one?
Yeah, no, I mean, I never stop questions, but you go.
Is there anything that if you could just make sure that every participant at Summerfest, say, knew, or something that you could make sure every LO, because I mean, you guys, I think y'all do a great job of communicating with the LOs before the event, and we had a really good orientation where I felt like you guys really helped me understand expectations and all that stuff. But is there anything like that you, man, if I could just make sure every participant at Summerfest knew this, that would really help.
I mean, from a safety standpoint, I would like everybody to watch the briefing in terms of just like landing area and stuff like that. I think Summerfest in general is going to be overwhelming for people when it's their first time. Like I remember 2016 walking in the hangar and being like, "Whoa!" And then I found JRuss and begged him to jump with me, and we did.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I got to jump with JRuss." That was my 2016, but yeah, I don't. I mean, maybe to look at the website sdcsummerfest.com, because a lot of in general the questions that people ask are usually on there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those would probably, I would rather give someone a place to find the answer than necessarily have them know like one specific thing.
I think there's some parable about teaching a man to fish, something like that.
Sometimes you can.
Yeah, or there's a bumper sticker that says "Read the fucking manual."
Yeah. Or you can
either one.
ChatGPT now.
Yeah.
Like with the ChatGPT, I was asking it to help me like write a letter for something, and it said blue skies at the end. Like that's how it signed off, and I was like, okay,
Wow.
yeah.
See what I'm talking about?
How did it
That's
do
amazing.
that for you?
Yeah.
That's wild. It did that for you, specifically for you.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, like
How did
I like it knew the letter was to like a skydiver audience or whatever. So like
Oh,
whatever
nice.
in the prompts that I had said, like, help me write a letter to this skydiver or whatever.
That's cool.
But it was still, I was like, oh wow.
Wow, that's pretty specific.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, is there anything about the job, Trace, that you didn't like when you started, but you've managed to change because you make the world the way you want it?
Yeah. I mean, the most helpful thing I think for my job overall that I started doing pretty much right away was we have, for bigger events, not for every single event, but for bigger events, we have this, we have like an event worksheet. So all of the managers can see it. It basically says like, this is what your department needs to do beforehand. This is what your department needs to do afterwards. This is like a description of the event. This is how many people are coming. this is the locations that are being used, like, right, just kind of an overall like memo of here's the details for this big event. And I had those, like those were given to me from previous events, and I had no idea how the event actually went, right? Like I only was given basically like draft number 1 of the plan for the event, but I didn't have any feedback in terms of like, okay, well, how many people actually showed up? Like, did this go well? Like, how many t-shirts did you order? How many, like, how much did it cost for food? Like, I didn't have any of that information in terms of feedback and like what went well and what didn't. So one of the big things that we started doing was I get feedback internally from staff. For some events like Summerfest or Cloud Games, I do also get participant feedback, which is really helpful, but really just feedback internally from the managers of like, oh, we put the porta potties here and that was a bad idea, so next year we need to move them here, right? Because then when we go back and look at the next event, we're not repeating the same mistakes because we don't remember them. Like we're looking at like, oh, this was our idea at the end of last year. Oh, this was our idea last time. And then we can implement those ideas so we can actually constantly like evolve and improve the events instead of just copying and pasted the same plan we had last time without any information on how it went, right? So that's probably overall been like the most helpful change that we started to make right away. Yeah, it's just getting that feedback internally and writing it down.
Chris, you doing okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Normally, there's the expression of the elephant in the room. Everybody's familiar with that one. What's with that deer?
Chris said that he liked the deer, so I brought it for him. This is Brutus. This is my
Brutus.
co-host.
Is that a
A
deer
two
you
Brute.
shot?
That's the wasn't Brutus the guy that stabbed Julius Caesar in the back?
Yeah, I think
At
so.
two Brute, that's
I'm
right.
not
A two
sure.
Brute.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, that, I mean, like if you could mock up his arm coming up with a little dagger, little knife, that might be worthy of the name. Are you a hunter, Tracy? Like, why do you have a deer?
I am not, but this is from Roy. This is my fiance.
Oh, right.
Yes.
So that was a topic on the agenda. You got married recently.
Nope, still engaged.
Engaged.
Yes.
Engaged. Sorry.
Yeah, engaged.
Sorry.
Yeah, planning a wedding, even though I plan events for a living, is a pain.
And you guys moved to Colorado, but you're still in Chicago for the season, but you're in Colorado for the off season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ottawa, Illinois is not super exciting during the winter. So yeah, we are in Colorado during the winter, and it's super great, and I'm very excited. But yeah, I'm here during like the 3 or 4 super busy months of summer.
Yeah. And where did you guys? I can't remember where you're in the Denver suburbs somewhere.
Yeah, we're Littleton.
Yep, Littleton. So kind of southwest. Awesome. And how do you like Colorado so far?
I love it. I lived in Colorado Springs for 2 years in like 2010. And I really liked it, but it was right after I graduated college, and it was in 2010 when the economy still sucked. So it was really hard for me to find a full-time job. So I ended up having to look. I wanted to stay in Colorado, but I ended up having to look outside Colorado to get a job, which is why I moved. So yeah, I'm super excited to be back there. My brother lives in Littleton, so we actually moved in with him because he's got like a 3-bedroom house, and it's him and 3 cats. So yeah, so we're renting a room from him, which I think has been nice for both parties, right? To like not be alone, cheaper rent. And then my other brother lives in Colorado Springs, so it's also nice to kind of just immediately be near people that you know, right?
Yeah.
Family.
And there's a couple tunnels right there.
Yeah, and there's a couple tunnels right there that actually will let me fly in them.
Yeah, it's a distinct difference than Chicago, where we're not even allowed to buy time.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
So we've already been to.
We can't buy time.
Yeah, we've already been to the Colorado Springs Tunnel. I've been in there once or twice, and once since we moved, and then he's been in there pretty much every week for like 15 minutes. Yeah.
So I know Roy's not here. I'm going to pick on him a little bit because Roy is the cutaway king.
Yeah.
Like, I think
really?
oh my God. So he has, I want to say he said he has about 800 jumps. Does that seem right, Trace?
Yep.
And he's got, I think, 13 cutaways? 11. Okay. So I have roughly 30 times his jump numbers, and roughly 2.2 times his cutaway numbers.
Yeah, dude, Nick Fenner's had 3 cutaways in the past like 3 weeks
But
too.
yeah, but Nick's sending his canopy back and getting a demo
Yeah,
as he should.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, Roy tried several different canopies. We found out last year, the year before, that his rig actually the harness was incorrectly made. So one side was like 2 inches taller than the other one on his harness, like his harness length. So
yeah,
he sent it back to the manufacturer. They reharnessed it for him. So in theory, it's fixed now, and he has had significantly less cutaways since then. But he's still had, I think, 2 since then. So he's changed his canopy. His rig was brand new to him. So
What are
and
most of the malfunction? Why is he cutting away?
he was also having issues with his harness, or his leg straps were slipping, right? And it's like, so he went to, again, the manufacturer, and first he was using like alcohol swabs, like get it to, like, but he'd have to do that like every single jump, right, on his. So eventually the rep at Summerfest, I think like 2 years ago, again, like actually switched his metal piece for his leg straps, like, so
mm,
it was the
yeah,
opposite direction, and that helped a lot. But he ended up getting the hardware that's like got the spring loaded or whatever, so that's also helped. But it's like, so he has been working on the issue, he has changed his canopy, he has done all these things, and it's like nobody, because he even let like Dan Adams jump his canopy, jump his rig, like see if there's anything that he could find wrong with it. He's a very meticulous packer. Everyone gives him a hard time about packing, but he packs for me all the time, and it's fine. So
so the one of the things that, as you were talking, I remember him talking to me a little bit about all those cutaways, and like um I wanted to tell newer jumpers, and 800 jumps is not necessarily a newer jumper, but he was going through like just losing his mind on what do I do? Like I like try and like put my feet together and stay symmetric in the harness, and like look, when I put my hands up, I'm trying to be symmetric, and like I'm trying to pack this certain way, and like all of these things. And I was like, Roy, it's so likely that you have a defective canopy, that like, and losing your mind over all these cutaways, it should go back right now. And I honestly didn't think that his harness could be wrong. But like, I wanted to communicate to anybody who's listening, like if you're having those kind of issues and you're just like, I'm trying to be so careful packing, and every time my canopy opens it turns right and spins me up,
yeah,
or whatever.
but it's been like 4 different types of canopies. So
Mm,
the only common denominator at this point is his rig, and he just ordered a new one because he's like,
yeah,
I don't.
yeah. But I mean, that's the thing. Like, I I got advice when I was having a canopy problem a long time ago. Go out and do a hop and pop, maybe a high hop and pop, like 5.5 or 6, and try to be the only person doing hop and pop, and close your eyes and just see what you feel from the canopy. Like, don't fight it. Let it open up. Close your eyes and try and, with that diminished visual, all you've got is what you feel out of the system. And I'm not recommending that, obviously, on a normal deployment. There's lots of people around. It was under specific circumstances, but every once in a while, I'll on a team jump, I'll do it when I know I've got really good distance from my team, and just kind of feel what happens on the opening, and just for a second close my eyes. But I'm not coaching anybody to do that. So JRuss did not tell you to fly your canopy blind, because somebody else, like my teammate Colin, will come back and say that. But yeah, it was just interesting to hear him like losing his mind.
Well, hold on. What are the malfunctions that he's had? Why is he having to cut away? Just line
Pretty
twist?
much line twist. Yeah, it'll be a situation where like the canopy seems to be coming out fine, and then it does like the search
Hmm.
twist, and it's always the same direction, which also indicates that it's something with his harness or his D bag, right? Like,
Yeah. Um,
yeah.
cool. There was something
Hopefully
else I was going to ask you.
we'll fix that issue.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if that's the only thing consistent, and I mean, unless he's like doing 360s on his belly as he deploys, I don't think there's too many things he can be doing to
Yeah.
cause those
That's what
problems.
he kept, like, even when he went to the tunnel like 2 weeks ago, he was like, Chris Freyer, like, he's like, just watch me on my belly for like 15 seconds to make sure I'm not doing anything. And I was like, babe, I was like, it's not your deployment. I was
I
like,
know.
people mess up, and people deploy in whatever position they want to. And it's usually okay unless you're on something really small. But
Yeah. There was something else I wanted to ask you about Colorado, but I guess it's going to have to wait. I wanted to before we. I got another question about cloud games, but I did want to touch on, and I don't. Hopefully, Rook's not going to get mad about this, but just in the idea of transparency, that Skydive Chicago did have an incident the other day, and a lot of times, Tracy, I don't know if you've ever watched the podcast, but when there's incidents around the country, usually if I'm aware of them, I'll try to share what I think about the incident. We had, and Tracy, you can correct me if I'm messing up these details, but we had a guy who I believe was on his second solo jump after graduating from our AFP program, who opened and then spun in under canopy, just did revolutions until he impacted the earth. And he sadly did not make it. I don't think there's a ton of information other than that right now. That I heard a report that he was possibly limp in the harness, but I don't know if that's been confirmed. There will, of course, be an ongoing investigation, and if there's lessons to be learned from that, we'll try to share them. Sorry, very sorry for that gentleman. I met him a few times. Seemed like a super nice guy. That's a. It's I mean it. If I smoke it in, guys, I've had a pretty good ride. But for somebody who's 2 jumps into their career, that's a bummer. So
yeah, he just graduated last week. I don't know if it was a second jump after his license, but it was his second jump of the day. So the first one was uneventful. Um, yeah, and it was a solo skydive. He was under his main, so he had pulled his main, but then for every like there was a skydiver, there's an experienced skydiver who saw him kind of spinning under canopy and did follow him. And for everybody who saw it, he appeared to be limp. It was just a like he appeared to be unconscious or unresponsive under canopy. He did have one toggle fire, so that was what the slow, but he was only on a 1.0 wing loading, right? So it was like a, I'm not sure, but it was like a 230. So it was, relatively slow spiral, but yeah, there was no, and then yeah, impact to the ground.
yeah. Um, and I wanted to add, again, I have very little information, but there was, I believe, a fatality at the Momentum camp that happened recently. One person seriously injured, one person did not make it. But again, I have a really super few details. I should perhaps be seeing the people who run those camps at work in a week, so I may be able to find out some more information. But again, that's yeah, such a bummer, especially on, like, you've been to those events. They're super fun and great for canopy stuff, and hopefully that doesn't negatively impact their events.
Yeah, from my understanding, they were doing, it was an invitational camp, right? It wasn't like an entry level camp. It was for the high performance stuff. They were filming like new pyro and doing barrel rolls and stuff like that. So it wasn't like your standard intro camp. It was for like the coaches to do kind of that higher level envelope pushing stuff.
Yeah. So Tracy, I wanted to ask you about cloud games and how you feel like that's trending as far as participation and the overall concept, especially because it's something that I really like. We generally are not able to do it as a team; like, we're all spread out, and this year was no exception. But there's so few competitions that most skydivers can compete in, that having cloud games at your home drop zone is such a layup, in my opinion. So I'm curious, like, how's the reception been in the community, and how do you feel? How do you see that progressing?
Overall, everybody who does it like loves it. They have a super fun time. It is easier for us as a host too because we don't have the box, right, of the USPA or PIA or any governing body. I can do things like this year we had sky surfers approach us like, "Hey, we want to add sky surfing." And I'm like, "Okay, let's add sky surfing," right? And we had I think 6 or 8 sky surfing competitors, and it's like Kibi wrote the rule, like the guy who kind of brought it up to me and his teaching and mentoring all these sky surfers, like I was like, okay, I was like, you need to write the rules because we don't have a rule book for this right now. So, write up a 1-page sheet of what the rules are for this competition. And he did that and it was point based. So I think in the past, sky surfing in particular has been kind of artistic based, but this was points in terms of like, you do this sequence as many times as you can, similar to FS. So, but yeah, so we were able to offer that. And same with like the crew dogs, like crew community. They were like, hey, we want to add crew to Cloud Games. I'm like, okay, awesome. So we added crew, and there were like 2 crew teams in Europe. Like we did zero
Nice.
like advertising in Europe at all, and we had 2 different crew teams because they did it internally within their community. So Australia also reached out to us this year, and the Australian like Parachute Federation in particular, I think they offered, free or discounted registration. Like their governing body was actually paying for registration for people from Australia to participate. Dubai was going to participate, but then the desert campus ended up like not having a plane that weekend or something. And then we always have some teams from Russia because, again, we don't have a governing body. So it's their
Yeah.
opportunity to compete in something. And then
Can we pause right there just for a sec? Because there's probably a lot of people who don't understand, but because of the ongoing war in Ukraine, Russian athletes and I believe Belarus athletes have all been disallowed from competition as like a punishment for Putin. I guess somehow that translates up instead of down, the way that most things do. Um, so like the Russian VFS team that I worked with for years and years that are super good, they're not allowed to compete. And I honestly, like, without getting overly political, I think that's bullshit. Like, these guys have spent their lives trying to be good at the same discipline as the rest of us. They don't have a voice with Vladimir Putin. They don't vote. I think there is an election, but it's total sham. And if they protest, they go to jail for the rest of their lives. So it's weird to punish the people, but that the team captain of the Russian team reached out to me and said that they had a VFS team that would like to participate. And I think it was some people he's coaching, not even his team. But anyway, I was super stoked that yeah, they can join in something because they're just skydivers like the rest of us.
So, real quick, at the risk of being overly obvious, just give a brief summary of what cloud. I mean, I think most people probably
Yeah.
understand by now, but go ahead and just
yes,
summarize
Cloud Games
what it is.
it's a remote skydiving competition. So people like the judges are remote. They're sitting at home watching all the skydiving videos and scoring. They are USPA or international judges, like rated, and then all the competitors can also compete like at their home drop zone. So each drop zone needs to sign up in terms of just so that way we have one point of contact for a drop zone instead of there being 250 competitors as a point of contact. So we have one representative from each drop zone. The drop zone registers. It's free. They don't have to do anything other than show up to a Zoom meeting. And that's also then the competitors get an upload link that's connected to their drop zone. So it's unique for each drop zone. Yeah, and then competitors, they have like, well, this year because of Australia starting, it was Australia's Friday morning, so it was here like Thursday at noon. Was when registration ended, and then the draws released Thursday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon for Central Time, and yeah, then they have all the way until 5 p.m. on Sunday Pacific Time, because that's the furthest time zone. Yeah, and people get to do the jumps from their home drop zone, which is nice. So they don't have to pay for travel. It's only $46 per competitor. So it's a cheap way for people to get into competition.
And so you just film the jump in the discipline you want to compete in. You upload the video,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
then it gets
Yeah.
scored. And how quickly from the deadline to post a video, when is the scoring?
The judges start on Saturday afternoon, so that way they can start. So there is some like Saturday, Sunday, neck and neck competition, right? So that way it gives us Thursday, Friday to kind of like front load some videos, because year one, the judges were kind of sitting there twiddling their thumbs for the first 2 hours waiting for videos to come in. So now videos are being uploaded Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday morning when the judges start, like they have a chunk of videos that then they can just start rolling through. So we used to do the award ceremony at like 7 p.m. on Sunday, but that turned out to be a very, very fast turnaround to put together an award ceremony script. So so now it is on, the awards are Monday night, but I mean they have scores before they go to sleep on Sunday.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's run really well. Is it when you and Lindsay dressed up with mustaches? Is that the awards?
Yeah, that's the awards.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I've been called Doug more the past like 3 weeks. I've been meeting new people that like I haven't met in the skydive, and they're like, "Oh, you're Doug," or they're like, "Hi, Doug." Like, yeah,
Yeah.
yep. So
Awesome.
Well,
And
it's got to
sorry, go
be
ahead, Chris.
it's got to be growing, right? Because like my
Yeah.
friend Daniel down at Skydive Cuautla in Mexico,
yeah,
they had a team that competed, and
they're
they were
super pumped. They're great. They have they
yeah,
have teams every year. They get like T-shirts, and they do like, you know, a bunch of
they
fun
have a blast
pictures and
with it.
stuff.
Like
Yeah,
they had jerseys printed up
yeah,
just for Cloud Game. Like
yep,
they just had so much fun.
yeah. Yeah, so it is growing every year. This year was kind of an interesting trend in terms of, it was the very first year that like FS went down, but because the crew dogs kind of like made up for it. So overall participation was still higher, but FS in general is a little bit lower. I don't know why. Because like I said, pretty much the feedback we get from people, which is anonymous, you know, it's like, this is great, I'm gonna do it again. You know, it's overall very, very positive. So I'm not sure why that is. It might just kind of be, at least in the United States, the cycle of like, at least some of the people, some of the FS folks here at SEC, like I talked to them and they just don't have a team this year, right? Like they've been super serious for the last 2 or 3 years. And now it's kind of like they're off here, or they're doing big ways, or they're doing something instead of teams. So that's kind of the only thing I can think of. Um,
Hmm.
but yes,
Yeah, that's weird. I mean, I also thought it was growing.
yeah. Like I
But
said, the
FS
event
is in the same
overall
boat.
is growing, and every other discipline had more people, but FS in overall was a little bit lower. Like I think it was the rookie class. We usually have like 10 teams in the rookie class, and we only had 3. So that was,
Yeah, I mean they're in the same boat. There's there's indoor nationals, there's outdoor nationals,
yeah,
and then there's cloud games,
yeah.
and then there's
And we
what's the
had
thing in Deland?
uh,
Shamrock Showdown.
yeah,
But not that many competitions.
yeah. But rookie in general, I think like that's 3-way. So I think maybe some of the rookie teams turned into real like beginner teams. Um, but yeah, I'm not sure. We did have like 10 additional drop zones registered too. So that's the other thing, is I think this year in general, like event registrations have kind of been down across the board, even outside of the industry, right? Like there's other festivals like Electric Forest that usually sell out, and we're still selling tickets like 2 days beforehand, right? So I think in general everybody's just being a little bit more careful with their money um, right now. So maybe that has to, but I think that was also indicative of drop zones were trying to sign up and do anything, because I had an explosion of drop zones that were interested in participating. So I think people are trying to find something, right, to bring in jumpers. Um, but yeah.
Cool. And we're kind of getting up to an hour here. What's the future for you? What, like, personally and professionally with Skydive Chicago? How do you envision the future? And on the end of that, are there any events that you can go to at Skydive Chicago, or do you have to go to an event at a different drop zone in order to be a participant?
Oh, no, there are events at Sky, like I hope to participate in 10 Spot this weekend, where Rook
Nice.
organizes. I don't really have
Yeah.
to do anything for that other than show up. Um, yeah, so there are some events that I get to do at Skydive Chicago, but and then what was the first question was?
Well, kind of, you have for sure. We've been permanent at Skydive Chicago. This is our 11th year, and it was kind of a revolving door of that position before you got there, and you've managed to manage it very well. And just, kind of like Anthony. Anthony can never leave. So, you know, when you have somebody doing a good job in that role, it's always great for the drop zone to keep them there, and then that's always a balance of like, now you've got this, like, are the pilots, they come here and they get experience and they go make more money somewhere else. So when you left for Colorado, I thought, oh no, maybe
Yeah.
maybe it's happening, but you're still here.
The plan is to hopefully work it out so that way Roy can work remote for like the 3 months of summer. So that way we don't have to be apart. But because it's a relatively new job for him, we didn't want to, start with that ask right away. But he's doing a couple like 2 week stints where, proof of concept, like, oh, he can work remotely responsibly for 2 weeks, which means he can do it for 3 months next year. Yeah. So, because I do really like this job, and I think the autonomy for me and freedom and flexibility to do my work how and when I want to is like invaluable, right? Like I took a pay cut from Duke University for this job, but just the flexibility of being able to like actually have creative freedom to do stuff that I'm like, oh, I think this sounds cool. Okay, go for it, right? I have a really hard time like when I think about if I think about like whatever job I might have after this. I just can't imagine someone telling me that I have to be in the office at like 8 a.m. again and you have to be there from 8 until 4, whether you have stuff to do or not, right? Like, or you have to do it this way because this is how we've done it the past 5 years. And it's like, okay, that's not a good reason for like having to keep do it this way. So I definitely like working for a smaller like company overall compared to the big companies that I'm used to working for. So I think if and when I get a different job in the future, it would have to be for a small company. But overall, I like this job, and I have a hard time picturing like where I would go next. So I think I'll be here for a minute.
Cool. Are you and the Colorado stuff? You guys putting down roots in Colorado? You think?
Yeah, I hope so. Like I said, we're kind of just renting a room for my brother right now, but we are saving up for a house. And not to get too personal on this, but I did like we do hope to have kids, and I did freeze my eggs since I'm getting older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah. Yeah, I did
Oh, okay.
this winter. So that's part of why I couldn't do a lot of the record like stuff because both financially, because insurance doesn't cover that, even though it covers some other things. But or if I had cancer, it would have covered it, but it doesn't cover it just preventative or because I'm getting older. So yeah.
Yay, insurance.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I had to pay for that out of pocket. But yeah, so I do have because Roy is 30, so he's significantly younger than I am, and I'm 37. So
Mm,
just one,
atta girl.
yeah, plans for the plans for the future. Yeah, so long term, I mean, we both really like Colorado, so that might be Colorado for now. We're like I said, we're kind of saving up for a house. The Colorado housing market is particularly on the Front Range. I think is like not to turn this into a real estate podcast, but
That's crazy.
yeah, yeah, but
Yeah.
they actually have quite a bit of like the population is actually declining a tiny bit compared to COVID, and they have a housing surplus compared to like houses used to sit on the market for less than 30 days, and now they're on there for more than 60 days. Right, my brother
Yeah.
has 3 houses identical to his that have been for sale since we got there in February, and I haven't seen them move, and the price is less than what they paid for it. So we're just kind of waiting for prices to go down a little bit and stuff. But yeah, saving up. So yep.
Cool. All right, Chris, how you doing?
Great. I'm just enjoying the conversation.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Tracy, when we get done recording, I'll talk to you a little bit about housing. Maybe just an idea that you guys can try.
Sweet.
Cool. Well, are we there? It's been an hour. It's been an hour and 4 minutes.
Unless there's anything else on Tracy's mind or
anything else about SDC or cloud games or anything else you want to share with our young viewers? Rookie Fest is coming up.
Yeah, we have Rookie Fest. We also have, I mean, this year obviously we have the dueling 200 ways, which are, we have the 200 way vertical world record at the same time as the 250, which is an RW state record. So we are looking for just like if you want to volunteer or you want to come see, like it's one of the most spectator friendly opportunities for skydiving ever. Like it's so cool, even if you're just on the ground, because you get to see and hear 200/250 people like falling through the air, and then you get to watch 250 people landing under canopy. So yeah, so it is a really cool opportunity, one, to see how the SDC like machine works, which is always like I'm proud of it, right? But also just in general watching, like even if you have grandparents who aren't going to skydive, like if they live somewhere around here, invite them to come watch because it's really cool.
Yeah. And do you mind just telling, because we have a lot of our viewers that are not super experienced skydivers. What are the requirements for Rookie Fest if people want to do that? What are the?
Yeah, it's you need to be in this sport for less than 2 years or under 200 skydives. So yeah, it's super fun. It's three-way scrambles, so you get to jump with a super experienced coach like JRuss or any of the rhythm guys. Yeah, or other members of core or rook. So you get to jump with some really high level coaches, and it's a fun little competition that's kind of low pressure, but learning a lot of good skills. And there's usually a pretty cool, pretty extensive prize purse as well of different either discounts or freebies from various sponsors and vendors.
And I can't remember. Is it? I get the holidays mixed up. Is it Memorial Day?
No, Memorial Day is in May. I only
Yeah.
know that because I did lifeguarding for 10 years.
In the same way, JRuss, I never know.
There's a bunch of holidays.
No, it's not a holiday. It's in September. I don't know
September.
the dates off the top of my head. I think we moved it up one weekend this year because so that way in hopes that the weather will be a little bit better. Because usually the first part of September is fantastic at Skydive Chicago, right? But then the last part is not as much.
My calendar says 20th and 21st of September. Does that sound right?
That sounds right.
Probably. Steph put it in there, so there's a good chance.
Probably right. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I have an announcement for
knife
our
handy.
listeners.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm excited about this. So my friend Chris Williams here in my hometown, we work at the tunnel together. He is putting on an event. You guys won't care about this, but I care. September 28th is National Chris Day. So he is organizing an event. He actually sent in, so anybody listening, if your name is Chris and you want to join us on September 28th, dude, check this out. He submitted to the Guinness Book of World Records for us to try to set a record for Chris's jumping together.
Oh my gosh.
Dude, come on.
Did they accept it? Because it's like
we're waiting.
It's like $10,000 or something in order to use the Guinness name.
Oh, really?
No,
yeah.
That you have to pay?
Yeah,
we're not doing
like
that.
If you request to get a Guinness record, it's like it is money.
Oh, then no, that's not what we're doing.
Okay.
No,
yeah.
no.
You can still
can't wait until
you can still claim a world record. You just can't use the word Guinness in front of it.
Well, that's fine. Honestly, I don't care about it being a world record. I just think it would be so awesome, like to have like a full load of Chris's jumping together.
I cannot wait till this event happens and somebody's going to claim discrimination.
Yeah.
Well, we're opening it up to variations too. Kristen, Christy, Christian, whatever. So September 28th, if you want to join us at Spaceland San Marcos, we're going to try to, whether we set a record or not, or we just have a lot of fun goofing off as a bunch of Chris's in the sky together. So there we go. Come join us for the he's calling it Chris Way on Chris Day or something like that. Oh, Chris Ways on Chris Day.
That's great.
So all right,
that's my announcement.
Let me see if I can get one more appearance out of my little bird. I don't think I probably can, but girl, it's strange that she has a mind of her own. Shouldn't like that. But we can be done. She's not coming. That's what she'll have to see her next. She's warming up to me. It's only been 9 days.
Yeah. I did the sign off last time because we had all of our friends from South America.
Okay.
So
well,
it's your turn.
I made it happen. And Bean and I want to thank Tracy for joining us today. Yay! And thanks to everybody for tuning into the Crave podcast and trying to be better, safer skydives out in our community. And I want to personally say, sign up for Cloud Games, sign up for Rookie Fest, and start a competitive career. It takes you a lot of different directions and improves your flying. Yeah. And Chris would like to add that we have the Crave course online, which is amazing, and you should check it out at it's cravetofly.com.
That's it. And
lots of courses, lots of modules, great information that's been archived for the posterity of skydiving as a community. And I believe the tagline is to get out there, jump with your friends, have a good time, be safe, enjoy the sky, and Crave offers you to do more and be better.
There you go.
How'd I do?
Awesome. Fantastic.
I mean, it's only been like 2 years. I should be getting good at it.
Blue skies.
Blue skies from ChatGPT.
There you go.
Cool.
Tracy,
Thanks, Tracy. Thanks for joining us.
All right. See ya.
Cool. See you guys.